Welcome to the Explainer. Today we're tackling something literally every dev working with AI runs into at some point. You know that tension between letting the AI just run with it and keeping your coding environment locked down and secure? We're diving right into how Claude Code handles your workflow behind the scenes and, way more importantly, how you can tweak its permission protocols so you stay right in that elusive flow state. Let's get into it.
Seriously, are you tired of approving every single file edit? Because we have absolutely all been there. You're in this amazing rhythm. Your logic is flowing straight from your brain into prompts, and then, bam, bottleneck. Claude just stops dead in its tracks and asks for permission, and then asks again and again. So in this explainer, we're going to crack open the internal logic driving these prompts and show you exactly how to banish them without leaving your system wide open.
To figure out why this friction happens, we really need to look at how Claude operates under the hood with its built-in tools. See, when you give Claude Code an instruction, you don't actually have to explicitly say, hey, trigger the edit tool or run the read tool. It has this internal suite of actions that it just automatically selects from based entirely on your natural language prompt. It's actually super impressive. Claude intuitively knows the exact moment to switch from reading a file to editing it to firing off a terminal command. It takes on all the heavy lifting of translating your human request into a specific technical action.
Section 1. The bottleneck. Security versus speed. So, if it's so smart about picking the right tools, why on earth does it keep interrupting us to ask for permission?
Well, to understand the friction, we have to draw a really hard line between two camps of tools, safe tools and high-impact tools. Pre-authorized low-impact tools like read for just looking at files, or the to-do tool for making checklists, these guys just operate silently in the background, no fuss. But the high-impact tools, things like edit to change your files or bash to run terminal commands, those are hardwired to require explicit user consent. It's a fundamental safety feature, absolutely crucial, but it can become a huge speed bump. Let's look at a totally relatable developer anecdote from our sources to see how the security feature goes from helpful guardrail to massive annoyance in record time. Picture this. You're working away and you just want to make a super quick styling update. You ask Claude to jump into your global CSS file and add a new theme variable called highlight. Oh, and make it a nice pastel yellow. Sounds like the simplest thing ever, right? Like literally a 10-second task.
Well, let's track exactly what happens here step by step. Step 1, you prompt Claude for the pastel yellow variable. Claude instantly knows, I need the edit tool. Step 2, it hits the brakes and asks, hey, do you want to make this edit to line 1? You manually click yes. But wait, Claude needs to tweak another part of the file to actually implement the change. So, step 3, it prompts you again. You hit yes again. And then, step 4, it needs to update a third time, prompting you yet again. The crazy thing here is that because Claude made multiple distinct edits across just one single file, you had to manually intervene and click yes over and over just to update some basic CSS.
3 separate permission grants. 3, all for one tiny styling tweak. That is exactly the kind of friction we want to completely bypass. I mean, imagine doing a complex refactoring job. How fast does that number scale up? It totally shatters your concentration.
Section 2. The permanent fix. Project-level permissions. Let's see how we can actually configure your environment to handle these requests safely and automatically.
The next time Claude prompts you for a high-impact bash command or an edit, look really closely at your options. Instead of just clicking a standard yes or no, you'll see a magic middle option, yes and don't ask me again. Say you ask Claude to make a commit, and it tries to use the bash tool to run a git add command. By selecting yes and don't ask me again for git add commands, you are permanently changing how your project handles that specific, repetitive action. A real game changer.
But what is actually happening under the hood when you click that? Well, selecting that option automatically spins up a brand new file right in the root directory of your project, tucked inside a .claude folder. It's called settings.local.json. And this file is incredibly powerful. It holds a permissions object, and inside that you've got an allow array. When you click Don't Ask Me Again, Claude essentially grabs your approved command and drops it straight into that allow array. So now you've got this local configuration that permanently remembers your permissions. Any command sitting in that array, it will literally never trigger a prompt again for this specific project. And honestly, the best part is you can just open this JSON file and manually edit the whole shebang yourself to customize your workflow up front.
Okay, massive word of caution here though. Our sources are extremely explicit about this. This file is intended for your local workflow only and should not be committed. It is absolutely critical, like do not skip this crucial, that you add this settings file to your .git ignore. You definitely do not want to accidentally push your localized automatic bash permissions up to version control. You'd probably become the least popular developer on your team pretty fast. Keep it strictly for your own personal convenience.
Section 3. The quick bypass. Session-level control. Because what if you don't want to mess with project files? Maybe you're just dropping into a code base for an hour and want to get straight into the zone. Really, it comes down to two primary options depending on what you're tackling. On one side, you've got the project-level permanent fix we just covered, the one editing the local JSON file so that specific commands are always allowed. But on the other side, we have the session-level bypass. This one is entirely different. It uses simple shortcut keys to toggle a blanket approval for edits, but the key difference is it's temporary. It only lasts for your current chat session. Activating this temporary bypass is ridiculously simple. You just hit Alt-M on Windows or Control-M on a Mac, and boom, you instantly toggle on the Accept Edits feature. Once that's on, Claude completely bypasses all edit permissions. It just executes. You can rapidly iterate back and forth without ever clicking a single approval button. And since it's tied strictly to the session, the second you start a new chat, your security defaults snap right back to normal, and Claude will start asking for permission again. You can even toggle it off mid-session just by hitting the shortcut keys again. Honestly, it's the ultimate tool for dropping into a deep flow state right when you need it.
Which brings us to our final takeaway. We've looked at how to kill the friction of clicking yes 3 times for a simple pastel yellow CSS edit. We've broken down permanent JSON configurations and those lightning-fast session shortcuts. But as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a real thought-provoking question for your own daily workflow. As AI tools become increasingly autonomous and capable of handling some seriously complex terminal commands, where are you going to draw the line between a seamless, high-speed workflow and maintaining secure, manual oversight of your local environment? It's a tricky balance, but one we're all going to have to find. Thanks so much for joining me, and seriously, test out these tools and shortcuts the next time you sit down to code.